Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Joey. After last night's co-main event where Beniel Dariush just dominated Tony Ferguson from start to finish, 3 full rounds and wins by decision, a lot of people are wondering, is this going to be the end of Tony Ferguson? And it depends what your definition of the end is, but somebody asked me in the comments, do I think Tony Ferguson will ever be a contender again? And the answer to that is no. He's on a 3-fight losing streak. He's lost to Justin Gaethje in absolute brutal fashion. And a lot of people keep driving that narrative that changed him. Maybe it did, maybe it didn't. I don't think it was that specifically, but it definitely had an impact on his career, without a doubt. You can't take that type of damage and not be impacted. Then he loses to Charles Oliveira, dominated, and then now Beniel Dariush. And I think what sucks is, in those 3 fights, he offered absolutely no resistance. And that's really the key factor, because there's no way he comes back and beats any of those guys, and he's going to have to go through at least 1 or 2 of them to be able to get back to a belt. You know, that's 3 out of the top 5, basically. Charles Oliveira is now the champion. Justin Gaethje's like number 1 or number 2 based on the rankings now, and Beniel Dariush is going to find himself in the top 10 after that win over Ferguson. But going into this fight, full disclosure, I picked Tony Ferguson. I thought he would lose the first 2 rounds. I thought Beniel Dariush was the better grappler. But I thought Dariush would fade in the 3rd round, and I thought Tony Ferguson would be able to take over and potentially get a finish in the 3rd round, but it didn't happen. And it's really depressing because Tony Ferguson has been a guy, even if you don't like his, his personality, his weirdness, his awkwardness, no matter who you are, you have to appreciate his fighting style. And I really did appreciate his fighting style. It was so much fun, so aggressive, so pressure forward. His stamina was just undeniable and unmatchable. But in these last 3 fights, he's just been dominated. And I talked about it when I talked about Charles Oliveira and the reasons that I thought he was going to beat Michael Chandler. And Charles Oliveira, for years, he's been in the UFC for over 10 years. And fight after fight, he's come out and he's looked improved each and every single time. He came in, he was just mainly a jiu-jitsu threat. And look at his striking now. And it's just every time out, he looks better. And Tony Ferguson is not a guy that's been able to do that. He looks like the same guy that he's been from 2012, 2013 till now. And Tony, I mean, you got to respect Tony. He went on a 12-fight win streak, and he hadn't lost a fight for so many years up until he lost to Justin Gaethje, which I picked Justin Gaethje in that fight. I thought Justin Gaethje was just going to be able to beat him on the feet, land heavy power strikes. And Tony is so tough. He's almost too tough for his own good. Look at him in that Gaethje fight. A lot of guys would have been finished a lot earlier. A lot of people would have tapped to that Charles Oliveira armbar. I'll throw the picture in here for you, which is just absolutely crazy armbar. A lot of people would have tapped to that heel hook by Beniel Dariush. And Tony just refuses to tap. He refuses to give up, and I love that about him. But he's taken a lot of damage. So I think if Tony's going to continue, and I don't know, I think there's a chance, and call me crazy, I think there's a chance the UFC cuts him. I hope they don't. I think he deserves another opportunity. I think, if anything, let him fight. See, here's the reason I hate for him to continue with the UFC. The UFC likes to use guys to build names of other guys. So they're going to give him tough matchups. I would like to see him in some fun matchups like Paul Felder, Ala Quinta maybe. But I don't want to see, next thing you know, they're going to be doing Islam Makhachev versus Tony Ferguson. Tony just takes the toughest fights time in and time out. He does not care and will take these tough fights. So I hope if the UFC decides to keep him and he decides to continue fighting, I hope they give him some fan-friendly matchups against some other top guys, top 10 to top 15 guys who are stylistically friendly, like Paul Felder, obviously. Like I mentioned before, that'd be a fun matchup. It'd be a winnable matchup. But I don't want to see him getting these tough, up-and-coming contenders just to build their name off Tony Ferguson. After all he's done the last few years, 12-fight win streak, he won the interim lightweight belt at one point in time only to be stripped because he tripped and hurt his knee and tore his ACL on April Fool's Days of all days. I just want to see him, if he continues, be able to. He's not going to the title, okay? He's never going to fight for a title again. He's never going to be in a number 1 contender fight again. So let's have some fun matchups with him that we can just enjoy. And if I'm on his, management team, I'm trying to get him some fight night main events, because For me, if I'm in Tony's crew, I want him to get 5-round fights. Tony's best attribute is his stamina, and he can really use that in 5-round fights. I know if the UFC does end up cutting him for whatever reason, I know another organization will pick him up, whether it be Bellator, PFL, Ryzen, One Championship. Someone will pick Tony Ferguson up if he wants to continue fighting. I hope the UFC doesn't cut him. I mean, look at Cerrone. He's borderline on a 6-fight losing streak, and they're keeping him. Tony Ferguson has been around for so long. And again, and full disclosure, I picked Tony Ferguson to win this fight. But also, I have to make the excuse for Ferguson. He's fighting the top guys. I mean, to lose to Gaethje, Oliveira, and Dariush, I mean, there's some very high-quality guys to have losses to, you know? And I know a lot of people are going to look back on that 12-fight winning streak and try to pick it apart. Oh, Anthony Pettis, Donald Cerrone, you know. But at the time, these were quality wins. Maybe not the Donald Cerrone as much, but it was a decent win. He has wins over Kevin Lee, which I think Kevin Lee is so inconsistent, but a great fighter. Rafael Dos Anjos was a magnificent win. I thought he could potentially lose that fight. Dos Anjos was nasty at that point in time. He took late notice fight against Lando Venado, which was an absolute crazy fight. Edson Barboza, which was a crazy fight as well. So he's just given us so many great fights. I hope this isn't the end of Tony. I'd like to see Tony come back and fight, you know, maybe 1 or 2 fights, at least fan-friendly type matchups against legitimate guys. I don't want the UFC giving him bums or anything like that to beat up. And maybe Tony can go out on a win. This co-main event really made me depressed. You know, it's just, what sucks about these last 3 fights for Tony, he's just offered no, resistance. He's just been dominated, and he's not evolved for 10 years. He can't stop a takedown to save his life against any decent grappler, and it's really just sad. So, again, give me Tony Ferguson versus Paul Felder. Give me Tony Ferguson versus Al Iaquinta. Still decent guys around that top 10 to top 15, but not absolute savages like Justin Gaethje, Oliveira, or Beniel Dariush. I think Tony's time is coming to an end. He is 37, 38 years old, and I just believe that, maybe we can go out with him on a winner too. So let me know what you think in the comments. Who should Tony fight next? Should the UFC cut him? Do you think the UFC will cut him? I'm curious. If anybody thinks that, let me know. Do me one favor, like the video. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.